Chapter 7 of Widicker Woods by Joe Jones. Let's pick up right where we left off. Someone's up there, damn it, he mumbled to himself. Scared and very irritated, Joe began to run down the hall to investigate. He turned the corner where he had seen the woman go. To his surprise, it was another staircase leading to the next floor. Joe raced up the steps, expecting to see one of the girls. He was very surprised to see a stranger, a slightly taller woman, walking slowly. "Excuse me," the woman stopped. "Pardon me, but is it okay if we stay here a while?" The woman walked a few more steps, and without answering the question, she turned to her right and put her hand on a doorknob. "Hey, I'm talking to you." She slowly looked over at Joe as she turned the knob. She smiles and walks into the room and shuts the door behind her. Great, Joe thought to himself. Another one of these houses. He was standing by a hallway window, debating if he should go into the room after the mysterious woman. When he saw something catch his eye, he looked out the window down into the backyard behind the house to see another woman walking in a white dress. This house, like the plantation they were at before, also had tombstones, and the woman was walking straight towards it. Forgetting about the woman in the room, Joe began to run back downstairs. There he ran into Tracy and the girls. "What's going on, Joe?" "There's a girl out there walking through the cemetery. I want to go out there and get her. She could be killed. Y'all go upstairs and clear the floors. I think someone's up there." Tracy and the girls went upstairs, and Joe ran out of the front door and raced to the back. He heard a heavenly voice singing, a voice so amazing he was almost put in a trance by it. He approached the woman from behind as she walked through the fog, running her finger across the top of the tombstones. "Lady, what are you doing out here? This is a very dangerous place." The woman stopped singing and turned around. "Oh my God," Joe thought to himself. "She is drop-dead gorgeous." "Your eyes," said Joe. "They're amazing." "Thank you," the woman replied. "You're pretty handsome yourself." Joe raised his eyebrows and said, Well, what are you doing out here all alone? You could be killed. Do you know where you are?" The woman smiled and laughed and said, "Yeah, I know where I am. I've been here before." "What do you mean you've been here before? You mean you got out of here the first time?" "Yes," she replied. She began to walk in a circle around Joe, running her fingers on his neck. "Well, how the hell do I get out of here?" She stopped and whispered in his ear, "It's a secret." "What's your name?" he asked. She looked him in the eyes and replied, "Kiana. I'll show you how to get out of here, if you help me," she told him. "I'm looking for something, and I could use your help finding it." "Well, I have a whole group in the house here that could help you. Just show us how the hell to get out of here and escape." It began to rain again. "This damn weather." "Here, let's get you inside," said Joe. They walked in together and did not see the others. "Well, I guess they're still clearing the house." "Are you cold, Kiana?" "Yes, a little." "Okay, I'll start a fire while we wait. These matches have come in very handy since we've been stuck in these woods." "Well, come on, carpenter. Build us a fire." Joe began to laugh as he flicked the match, then said, "Wait, how do you know I'm a carpenter?" "Oh, I don't know. Lucky guess. Or maybe I could tell by your tan skin and calloused hands and scarred up arms. Most men who work with wood look that way." "Well, I'm also a soldier, so most of my scars have come from war." "You've killed men?" she asked. Yes, I have. Kiana nodded her head and said, I've killed a few myself. Why? What did they do to you? Before I came here the first time, 2 white men took turns raping me and slapping me. When one of them went to throw me out of the wagon, I grabbed his pistol and shot them both, multiple times. Oh, I'm sorry you had to go through that. I saw a woman earlier in this house right before I seen you down here in the cemetery. Wasn't me, she replied. You'll see a lot of things in this town and these woods. Some real, some fake. Some just a figment of your imagination because you've been here so long. Your mind starts to snap and plays tricks on you. How long were you here the first time, Kiana? She stared at the fire as the light from the flames danced across her pretty face. Then looked to Joe and answered, Years. Then why the hell would you come back? Joe asked, puzzled. She took a deep breath as to tell him something she needed to get off her chest, but before she could speak, they heard Tracy and the girls coming down the stairs. Joe got up and told Kiana to follow him. Anything up there, guys? Not a soul, answered Tracy. Tabitha ran over to Joe and hugged him. I'm glad you're okay, Joe. You shouldn't have gone out there alone. Kiana seen the way she was looking at Joe. Everyone, this is Kiana, the girl I seen in the cemetery. Kiana shook Tabitha's hand and looked at Joe and said, I didn't know you had a girlfriend, Joe. Oh no, this is just my friend, not girlfriend, Joe replied. Kiana saw Tabitha's face change as she heard these words, just a friend. She could see the jealousy begin to build in Tabitha's eyes. Kiana smiled. Okay, everyone, Kiana knows a way out of here, and she's going to show us the way out, said Joe. We don't know her, said Felicia. Yeah, why should we follow her? Added Tabitha. She's not one of those things out there. Guys, she's a human just like us. Come on, give her a chance. Yeah, just like you thought Adiella was one of us too, remember, Joe? Your call of judgment hasn't been so good. And why were you out here in a cemetery all alone if you know what's out there? Vanessa asked. Come on, guys, you don't have to answer that, Kiana. Why do you keep taking up for her? Tabitha screamed at Joe. Because she's going to help us, he yelled back. That's not the only reason you seem to be protecting her. Look, we haven't made anything official between us yet. So stop getting mad at me, Joe replied. Now let's move out. Kiana, lead the way. Tabitha smoldered at Joe as he walked past her, following Kiana. Tracy looked at Tabitha as to tell her everything is going to be all right. But instead, he just put his cowboy hat on and nodded at her as he walked past by. Kiana opened the back door and looked back at Joe. Right this way, she said as lightning flashed in her eyes. Great, back in the rain again, cried Vanessa. Joe looked back to see that Tabitha had fallen behind with her sisters as Joe walked with Kiana. They walked on for a few miles, it seemed, without anyone speaking. Where are we going? Asked Joe. We're going to Cockroach Creek. To what? Shouted Tabitha from behind. Yeah, what in God's name is Cockroach Creek? Asked Joe. I hate bugs, cried Tracy, as the others mumbled in agreement. Don't worry, it's just a name. No giant bugs or anything there, thank God. Now, if you want out of these woods, you've got to help me. That's the plan. Okay, Joe said. When we get there, there's a rowboat on the creek, and we have to go down the creek a little ways. The boat's probably flooded as much as it's raining now, said Tracy. They reached Cockroach Creek with no problems and loaded onto the boat. The only thing we have to worry about are the things that are in the water, said Kiana. Like what? Asked Joe. Oh, just the abnormally large alligators and the anaconda that sometimes swims through the creek. Oh my God, said Joe. The two worst things you could have said. The rain began to let up, and now it was only misting lightly. They could see the moonlight on the water as the rain rippled through the slow current of the creek. Almost there, said Kiana. We just have to stay quiet, not to draw any attention to us, and we'll be fine. A few moments later, they heard what sounded like a splash from the distance. What the hell was that? Cried Tabitha. I don't know, but I'm ready to get off this damn boat, replied Joe. Suddenly, they felt something scrape across the bottom of the boat. Feels like we ran over a shallow spot in the creek. Perhaps ran over some rocks, said Tracy. They saw smoke coming from up ahead on the right side of the creek. That's where we're headed, said Kiana. Who lives there? Asked Vanessa. Kiana smiled, but did not reply. They scooted the boat onto the shore, carefully stepping out one by one. Up this hill. Follow me, she said. With guns ready and drawn, they followed Kiana to the back of an old wooden house and could hear screams coming from inside. Let us go! The voices cried in desperation. Please, we'll do anything! Don't throw us in that pot! They walked around to a boarded-up window and looked through the cracks in horror as they seen 4 women wearing raggedy clothes with horrible-looking faces begin to peel the skin off of a man as he screamed in agony. Witches? Joe asked. Something like that, said Kiana. Cannibal is a more fitting word, though. They come to Widicker Woods in the same manner we were, but decided to turn evil and join the dark side. They eat innocent people and torture them for fun. When they don't eat or torture victims who stumble into these woods, they bring them to the monsters and let them have their way to keep the peace with them. They seen 3 men in the house, tied up with ropes. So why are we here? What do you need from them? I need you to help me kill them. They took my little brother and skinned him alive. Damn, said Felicia. That one is hopeless. He's gonna bleed to death. But the other 2 men can still be saved. Girls, y'all untie the men while we distract the women. We will make noise and draw them out here. Y'all sneak through the back door, Joe said as he planned out the attack. No, Kiana said. All of you go through the back door and untie the men, and I'll take care of the women. Huh? You can't take on all 4 of them, Tracy said. You'll be killed. Let us help you. You can help me by rescuing these men, she replied angrily. I got this. Okay, Joe said reluctantly. Let's draw them out, boys. Joe held up his revolver and fired 2 shots into the sky. They seen the cannibals stop what they were doing and began to walk to the front doors. Sounds like more food came to us this time, said one of them. Go, Kiana demanded as they heard the front door open. Joe and the girls raced to the back as Kiana waited on the side. Joe kicked the back door in and the men screamed, Don't hurt us, please! Help us! Joe grabbed the knife from Tracy and began to cut the men free. Girls, make sure there's no one else in here. Joe then heard screams coming from outside. Damn, Kiana's in trouble, he thought. He ran outside and seen all the cannibals on the ground, lying lifeless, bloody. He seen Kiana with her back to him, looking up at the moon, wiping blood off of her face, it seemed. What the hell? She turned around and he seen blood all over her dress. Are you okay? Yes, it's their blood, not mine. What did you do? But before he could finish his question, he heard his name being called from inside. Joe! He took a deep breath and ran to the house. What's going on? The man on the table. He's hurt bad, but wants to go with us.